Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be showing you how to create a container in Visual Studio from an Azure Storage account. So let me share my screen so that we can see my Azure environment. So I already created a storage account. As you can see, the name is SE Frankly IO. That's the name of my storage account. And you can see that under containers, I do not have any container here. So just very quickly, anytime people hear containers with respect to a storage account, it's quite different from what most DevOps engineers understand by containers. So this is different from the Kubernetes and the Docker and the containerization of application that we usually know in when it comes to some kind of infrastructure as a code and the likes. When we have storage account, we have about 4 categories of services under storage account. We have the blob service, we have the queue service, we have the file service, and I can't remember the last one now, but we have 4. And in the case of the blob service, we have a storage account. Then inside a storage account, we can have several containers. Then in each of those containers, that's where we can now have our blobs. So right now, I want to create a container from Visual Studio. I can create the container from the Azure portal, but probably I'm building an application that requires me to read some data from a storage account on Azure. I want to programmatically add some data to Azure. I want to store some data to a storage account. Then I need to know how to create containers from Visual Studio. So I will stop sharing my browser now and I'll be opening Visual Studio. It's just a very simple application, will be very fast. I'll be writing it from scratch. So let me stop sharing. Then now I'm resharing now. So I'm on Visual Studio now. I believe you'll be able to see my screen any moment from now. So as you can rightly see, I've created a simple console application, and I've also added some packages to my console application. I've added storage.blob and storage.blob.models as well. So right now I'm about writing my code to be able to programmatically create a container inside my storage account. As you saw in the previous screen share, the name of my storage account is Frankly IO. So I want to create a container into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to use my connection string. So I'll be writing private static string blog connection string. So you can go through Microsoft documentation and you see how they go about this. I actually got this code snippet from Microsoft Learn, and I just made very, very little modification to it to be able to suit what I am actually doing. So let me just copy my connection string. Or better still, I think I should copy it from the console so that you see where I am actually getting it from. Let me stop sharing and I would go and copy it from my console. So I will reshare now. I'm going back to my console. So to get my connection string, I mean, that's the only way we can have access to this my Azure account from Visual Studio. And the reason that is possible is, okay, yeah. So you can see the last one I was trying to remember is table service. You can see it over here, table service. And that's related to if you have things data that are to be stored in tables. Yeah, so let's go to our access keys. Yeah, access keys. So for my access keys, you just pick under this connection string over here, you will show and you will copy it. Then one thing I also want to add is that the reason why I am able to programmatically connect to my Azure account from Visual Studio is because I have set it that it should allow access um, from the internet, from any public network. And I'll show you where I am enabling that. You can see it over here, enabled from all network. If I wanted to limit the amount of access, I would either disable or I would enable from selected virtual network and IP addresses. That way I would only allow my IP address to be able to programmatically connect to this storage account. But because this is just for demo purposes, I am allowing anyone to be able to have access to my Azure account as long as they have access to the connection string. And I mean, you can't have access to my connection string except you have access to my computer. So it's not really a big deal for development purposes. It will obviously be a big deal if it were to be a production storage account. So now I'm returning to my Visual Studio. I'm back to my Visual Studio. I've pasted my connection string. Let me just confirm it's actually correct. Okay, so I think I copied the key rather than the connection string. So let me copy the connection string now. So I'm copying the connection string now. I believe you can still see my Visual Studio. So let me go back over here. Let me just delete everything here. Yeah. So I'll be very fast now. So let me just copy it. Let me just copy it. My connection string. So my connection string is copied. Yeah, so what I intend to do now is I would let me declare the name of my container. So I want to create a container. So because of my time, I'll be moving pretty fast right now. I will just declare the name of my container, the container I want to create in Azure portal, and I'm calling it container name. And let me just give it so most times I call my container data, but in this case, let me just give it frankly Azure data. So that's the name of my container. But if I need to create just one container, most of the time I always use data. And I think that's the most Microsoft documentation I see, they always use data also. Then let me declare my main function. Just copy this. Yeah, so I would I want to now make use of the blob package that I use Nugget package to add. So and that I would just be entering I would declare a constructor. Then I would call a function, and I would slot in the connection string. Okay. Yeah, I think we are good. So the next thing I would do is I want to use that same blob container client, but this time around, I'll be passing in the container name as a parameter to the create blob container function. That method, I'll be passing the container name that was earlier declared. Container name. Okay. So I think that's really what I need to do. You can see it's very simple and quite straightforward. So I just need to return a message that says that the container has been created, and um, I would read lines so that it wouldn't just close automatically. So what we've been able to do is this first line we declared our connection string. This connection string is what gives Visual Studio access to my cloud platform, my Microsoft Azure account. So I'm using this connection string. It gives access into the storage account alone. Then I declare the container name over here. Then I use blob service client. I created a constructor, and I pass the connection string as a parameter into it. Then I use that same class and use another object, container client, and this time around I'm calling the previously defined clients, and I'm using that to call another function that actually creates the blob container, and I'm passing in the name of the container. Okay, so I'm calling the name of the container frankly Azure data. So let's run this now, and hopefully we are not going to get any error. So let me save this. Okay, let me save this. Let's see. It's running, it's running. Yeah, you can see container created, the output screen. You might not be able to see it because it's a different window so let me actually show you. Let me share that. It's a different window from the Visual Studio, but let's see that. So we can see it's container created. So now let me stop sharing, and I will also stop my Visual Studio from running so that it would free up some memory. Then I'll go and share my, I'm going to share my browser now. Yeah, I'm going to my browser. Now, you noticed earlier that previously when I went to containers, we only saw the log directory over there. But right now we've created one from Visual Studio, and we are going to see a reflection of that here. Yeah, so we can see it now. Frankly Azure data. So we've successfully been able to create a container in our storage account. The name of our storage account is SA Frankly Azure, and we've created a container called frankly Azure data. We are still going to explore this more. There are a lot of things we are going to be doing from Visual Studio. We are going to be writing a lot of applications around storage account in the next coming week. All right, that's the end of this video. Have a nice day.